Wow, okay, so I just completed a run. I don't do very many of these. I'm a runner, kind of. I run once a week on Saturdays, and when I run about 5 or 6 miles. And I just finished what's called the Pat's Run, which is in Tempe, Arizona. It's a 4.2 mile run, and Pat Tillman played for the Cardinals, was a hero, military hero. He got caught in some friendly fire, and I believe it was Afghanistan in the war years ago, probably 10 plus years ago. And his legend and his legacy lives on, and he's inspired, and his foundation has inspired thousands and thousands of people. In fact, today's run was a record crowd. They sold out, and we were at nearly 30,000 people, 28,000 people. What I want to talk about, though, when I get into this, is my thoughts and some things that I picked up and noticed pertaining to goal setting as I was running this race. I know that comes as a shocker, talking about goal setting, and something that reminds me of goal setting, but I'll get into that in a second. So 30,000 people, it's very, very inspiring. If you haven't done this yet, you should try it. It's 4.2 miles. A lot of people walk, a lot of people push strollers. There's kids, there's there were handicapped people on crutches. Very inspiring to see that. And you think, gosh, if that person is able to, a military, or they're dressed in full fatigues with backpacks and carrying a flag in their boots, and they're out there running it. And so I'm like, gosh, if they can do it, why can't I do it? So I'm not much of a runner, or not much of a great runner, but I like running. Interestingly, though, is every Saturday my workout is a run, and I do like a 5 to 6 mile run. I'm not fast, but I don't stop. So I can do that, and I finish a 5 or 6 mile run. So here we are, another Saturday, and it's a 4.2 mile run. So you would think that it's actually a break from my normal routine. And it kind of is in a way, but when you're in a crowd of 30,000 people, and you've got the music and the announcer and the start and finish line and all the fanfare that comes from a major race like this, you tend to push yourself just a little bit. And I think that's lesson number one with goal setting, is when you get into it and when you surround yourself with like-minded people that are holding yourself to a new standard. You look at the guy next to you, you're like, oh, he's a serious runner. You can just tell by the shoes and the equipment and things that he's wearing. When you're surrounded by those type of people, it inspires you to push yourself harder than you normally otherwise would. So I ran harder today, even though it was 4.2 miles and not 5 or 6 miles, which is my norm. I ran harder than I normally do, simply because of the environment that I was in. Okay? Interesting. That's lesson number one. If you're an entrepreneur, push yourself to get into an environment where you're around other entrepreneurs, other business people, other people like you, that think like you, that go through struggles like you, and it will naturally have a tendency to make you push yourself just a little bit harder, I think. That's lesson number one. Number two is comparison, the compare game. As I'm out there, I have a couple of choices. I'm running along. These little kids, they're like 7 years old, 8 years old. They're running past me. I'm like, what the heck? Who is that? And then there's older people, people pushing strollers. I'm certainly not the fastest guy. I have this because it was, they were handing these out to everybody. So this just means I crossed the finish line. But I certainly didn't place anything. I'm not that serious of a runner. But there's these people that are much better than I. So as I'm looking around, I'm going, I'm certainly not the best runner here. But then I realized I can't compare myself to other people. Because if you compare yourself to other people, you will always be disappointed. And the reason for that is because you have no idea the insight behind that person's genetic makeup, their training, how much time they've spent, their natural ability to run. All kinds of factors play into their performance. What they ate, what you ate, how much sleep they got, how much sleep you got or didn't get, all all the stuff you've been doing for the last week or 2 or 3, everything that goes in up to the point of that run, if you compare yourself to somebody else, you have no idea what they've gone through to get to where they are and why they're running so fast or so slow. You pass by, sometimes it's encouraging. You're running by somebody who's huffing and puffing and they're, struggling to the side, and you're running by like, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I feel bad for that person, but I'm feeling good about my progress because I'm doing better than him or her. But that's not right either. You don't know if they're doing their personal best. Maybe it's their very first run, and this is the very first time they've gotten as far as they have, and they're doing amazing for them. Maybe you're doing better than them, but you're a different person. So if you compare, you will despair. You'll always come up shorthanded and disappointed because you're always going to compare yourself to others who are doing better than you and wonder why, and you'll never have the answer. There is no answer because you can't know. So compare yourself to yourself yesterday, or in this case, compare yourself to yourself the last time you ran this race. That's the only thing that's going to do anybody any good. That's the same thing with goals. When you're setting goals, you have to compare yourself with the progress you made yesterday. How well did I do yesterday, and how well am I doing today? That's your progress check. You can't look at some guy who's the sales guru of your company and say, gosh, he made 42 sales last month and I only made 30. And what's wrong with me? How come I'm not doing as well as he is? You cannot compare yourself to others. You can only compare yourself to yourself yesterday or last month. So you say, well, I did 26 sales last month and this month I did 30. Well, it's not 42 like the guy that took the record, but it is 30 and my last month was 26. I'm doing awesome. So you compare yourself to yourself, and that's it. I know it's kind of hard because everybody's around us and they're all doing well. Everybody's doing better than we are, right? Isn't that how it feels sometimes? Grass is greener, people have nicer cars, people live in nicer homes. Life seems to be easy for that person. It is so hard sometimes to not compare ourselves to other people and say, why me? Why am I having to go through struggles? Why can't life be easy for me like it is for them? Well, first of all, you don't know how easy life is for them. You only know what they let on. Social media. Don't get me talking about that, but we tend to put our lives on a pedestal for the world to see how great things are for us. And nobody really knows what's going on deep down inside. So don't compare yourself to others. Only compare yourself to yourself yesterday. That's number 2 that I got from this. But the third thing I got from this run that I just finished is I noticed something. That is, everybody was facing forward while they were running. They were facing ahead. There was nobody running like this, going over their shoulder, running back and looking around at other people back over their shoulders. Nobody was doing that, and that's the way it should be. Because when you run the race of life, or any race for that matter, if you're not looking ahead at where you're going, you're going to run into all kinds of problems. First of all, you're going to run into things. There's flag poles, or there's people, or there's a curb that you'll trip over or something because you're not watching where you're going. So the obvious. But secondly, you're taking your eye off the mark. The mark is what lies ahead. That's where you're headed. That's your goal. That's the finish line. We're looking for that. When I'm running, every corner you go around, you're like, I got to be getting close to the finish line. Is that the finish line? Where is it? That's what I'm looking for. As soon as I cross the finish line, then it's done. Then I can take a break. I can stop, regain my composure, try and not puke. All those things, and that's what I'm looking for. So until I see that, I'm looking for it. I'm looking ahead. That's the same thing in goals. We're looking for whatever it is that we set in our lives, in our goals. We're looking ahead. We're not looking back. Back, that's failures. That's the things you've gone through. That's the times where you've come up short. Your struggles, your shortcomings, your inability to, or your insecurities, your anything that keeps you from progress, your weaknesses, those are all part of the journey, part of the struggle. We've all got them. That's baggage. Put it behind you, right? Put it behind you and focus on what's up ahead. If you failed 12 times, you're not focused on those 12 failures as you're running forward. Those are behind you. You're focused on number 13 because that's going to be the one that wins. That's going to be, and if it's not, then put it behind you. You're focused on number 14. That's how it goes. You gotta focus ahead. So those are the 3 things I learned today from Pat's run, or that I brought in. I thought it was a fantastic event, a wonderful experience. And if you haven't done anything like it, you should try it. And if you haven't been on 3x5goals.com, you should go there. It outlines exactly all the goal setting program that I use. Hopefully it's something that you can benefit from. Either way, I appreciate you listening in. Please feel free to comment, like me on Facebook, follow the YouTube, subscribe. I'd love to connect, hear more about how you set goals, what works for you, what doesn't. I'm totally into that, and I'm just sharing what I've learned, but I don't have all the right answers. So anyways, thank you very much for listening, and make sure you have a fantastic day. Set your goals and achieve them, and then set new ones and achieve those.